I looked up most to at my father. My father had served in the Second World War in New Guinea, in the Philippines, in the Army. I was proud of his service, just as proud as he was, even though he didn't like being in the Army, didn't like getting shot at. He knew that he had made a major contribution to his generation, which had saved the world, and I looked up most to him.
There's not one person that I necessarily looked up to as a hero. I have a composite ideal that I created over the years, and it was based upon people that I knew. It was based upon people that I'd read about, historical figures, political figures, just members of the community. And I created a composite that I saw as an ideal of what I wanted to be.
My grandfather was someone that I looked up to growing up. My grandfather was vice principal of a high school in Concord, Massachusetts, and he'd been a collegiate athlete, but just someone who was so dedicated to others. And I think one story that had always stuck out with me is I had heard a story from when he was a vice principal of a student bringing a gun into school, and he was getting everybody going one way, but he actually went after the student, moved towards the danger, and I think that was something that always stuck with me.
Oh man. Growing up, I sometimes looked at the wrong influences, but then getting into the high school, I finally started figuring out what was important and started hanging around with good people that influenced me, started asking a lot of questions, and started paying attention to the people that were trying to point me in the right direction and help me with my life. Aunts, uncles, family, mom, dad, brothers, and you looked at also the bad stuff, and you made your own assessment of what was the right decision. And they really pushed me in the right direction. It took me a while to figure out that I was letting them down and I was doing them a disservice by not taking in everything that they were giving me that was positive. And so when I figured that out, I started asking more questions. I started hanging around with people that supported me, and I started to do better in my life.
My father was my hero. That's who I looked up to. We weren't poor, we just didn't have a lot of money. My two parents were both factory workers. Didn't have electricity till I was 5, no running water till I was 8 or 9. Watched my dad build our house little by little as he got the money. Put in a basement, he actually shoveled out underneath the house with a wheelbarrow and a shovel and formed that home that we finally ended up in.